We have divided this presentation into two parts. I will take the generic part about how DNV and DNV look in AI and what opportunity it gives. Then Hogne will give you the real stuff, showing you an example on a solution we are now developing for the aquaculture industry related to continuous automated compliance checking. But first, DNV has been around for 160 years. And in these 160 years, we have been delivering services related to certify, making sure that we operate, that ships and vessels are designed, developed, and built according to standards, and the same with fish farms. We do quality assurance, make sure that new technology can be onboarded in a safe way and it's fit for purpose. We give expert advice, particularly related to risk and safety. And most importantly, we take all the experience from all this engagement and help industries create standards and even our own standards and rules and recommended practices. The core essence in what we do is related to our people. We like to see that we have 15,000 employees, maybe a little bit less, that they have the best industry knowledge, the best competence, and by that we can deliver trust to all our customers. So, what will happen if AI soon can perceive, understand, summarize, identify patterns, make sense of, reason, create, plan, solve problems, and make decisions and use tools as well as or better than humans? What will happen to our compliance services? What will happen? How will it impact how we in aquaculture deliver our compliance services? What will happen if you have, instead of trusting an engineer that operation is safe, you trust an algorithm? Instead of looking at talking to an approval engineer, looking at the report he has written, look at the dashboard. When all the information regarding how we operate your operations, if they are according to the requirements, are available for everyone at the same time. How will this impact DNV as an organization? How will it impact the industry in general? And this is what we try to figure out. And to do that, we have stepped back a little bit and looked at the history. For 160 years, DNV has been, we have industry standards. It was in big books. And we went out to shipyards, we went out to engineering companies, oil companies, and so forth, and to check if what they were making, how they were operating their procedures, were according to the standards. We looked for evidence, we wrote a report. If everything was okay, we give a stamp. That was what we did for at least 120 years. Then PDFs come along. So we didn't need paper anymore. We have electronic documents. So we can exchange information, we didn't have to archive so much documents anymore. Huge productivity gains, but the process is still the same. You need an experienced domain expert, approval engineer, looking for evidence and judging the risk and if they're according to the requirements. Then XML come along, making it even easier to search. You can use that to search for documents. You didn't have to read all these PDFs. You can look at requirements. You can take out the right requirement for that purpose, making the process even more efficient. But the process is still the same. You need an experienced person looking at the evidence, comparing it against the standards. What we are doing now, I think for 3-4 years ago, AI has been around for a long time, but for 3-4 years ago, it becomes really available through ChatGPT. You had Copilot, you have AI. I forgot all the names here, but you had a lot of AI software coming along. That enables us to use AI to process a huge amount of data and to build models. Models of a ship, models of a subsea station, model of a fish farm. And we use AI to convert standards requirements into digital requirements, and populate this model with all the requirements at all the different parts. So a mooring system, a shackle, you can address a requirement to that specific part. Then you have the baseline for doing compliance checking. Then we train this model and with AI, and they can use AI to look for evidence, not only in PDFs, on sensor data, which a lot of people have mentioned here, on illustrations, on graphics, and so forth. And then you can do automated compliance checking. So then you have automated the compliance checking. What we're trying to do now with the fishing industry, the aquaculture industry, is to take these models and deploy them into the customer systems. This means that, and then you get access to the data streams. This means that you can do continuous compliance checking. As you shift something on your fish farm, as you run your procedures, you can be compliance checking all the time. And that's where we are now. Moving down the line, I think these models will become commercially available. You can deploy them into the equipment you buy. You can deploy them into the systems you buy. So for default, compliance checking will be an integrated part of your operation. It's not something separate that DNV will do on the side. And how will this impact DNV? This is what we are trying to figure out, because we still think it's important to have the best people in there. But what we see now, we see the governments are looking at it the same way. This is Havbruksmeldingen, which was released 2-3 months ago. Still looking at, unified systems, information sharing, better quality, and so forth. Spot on in what we are thinking of. We also have the same from the Fishing Directorate. They even talk about, a machine-to-machine API, and also automatic validation, which is, for all practical reasons, automated compliance checking. So the whole industry is moving in this direction, and we need to be part of it. And we think AI will be an enabler here. It's not a means by itself. It's an enabler for data collection. It's an enabler for data quality. It's an enabler for contextualization, because data need to put into context, and also compliance checking and so forth. So AI will be a great enabler driving this change. And now Hogne will tell a little more in detail about how we think an AI-driven solution might look like.
Thank you, Petter. So, as already mentioned in Havbruksmeldingen from Petter and the Directorate of Fisheries, there's a lot of talk of continuous compliance now. And in essence, the project I'm working on in DNV is the Smarter Compliance working title. It's basically automated continuous compliance. So what we are aiming to do is to seamlessly integrate and allow compliance data to flow across the ecosystem. We in DNV are a neutral third-party actor, so our role is to provide confidence and clarity into regulatory compliance. What we experience with the fish farmers is that they experience an increasingly complex compliance landscape. They are bombarded left, right, and center with new rules and regulations. It's becoming unmanageable. This is the simplified version of the different compliance vertical they need to cover. And our Smarter Compliance product will cover all the compliance needs. We are starting with farm technology, the infrastructure, technical aquaculture, many names, but basically the relevant regulation is NYTEC 23, and the relevant standard is NS 9415. The goal is to prevent fish escape. Again, in our experience, over 80% of fish farmers are unsure if they are fully compliant. As a product manager or technical leader at a fish farm, it's your job to make sure you have an installation certificate valid all the time for every single site. In Norwegian, it's the anleggssertifikat. This certificate lasts for 5 years, It's a process that could take 6 to 18 months to achieve, but the real pain starts when you have the certificate and you need to operate in accordance with it. Because the certificate covers all the equipment. It can be thousands of different equipment in one facility. Things will break, things will get swapped, either because they're new and shiny, or they break. You will start asking yourselves questions such as, am I using the correct equipment? Did I inspect the correct thing at the correct time? Something broke, I swapped it with something else. Was that correct? Also, did I document the swap correctly? There was an update to user handbook. How does that affect my maintenance and inspection schedule? There was an update to the regulation. How does that affect my site, or this site, or this site? A farmer has many sites. A typical production manager spends 25 hours a week using 5 to 20 different systems to gather information and doing hundreds of tasks trying to be in control of compliance. There is no feedback loop today, letting them know they did the correct thing at the correct time. This is where smarter compliance comes, the continuous automated compliance. What we need to do to achieve it, we need to unlock information, and a lot of information is today locked away in PDFs. We need to enable system-to-system data flow. So at the right side, it's the typical production systems for fish farmers related to technical aquaculture. We gather information directly in the systems. In the middle, you have the standard and the regulation. We have created a machine-readable format and also automated the verification process. So whenever something changes, either at the fish farmer side with product certificates, user handbooks, whatever, or update to the regulation itself, there's a check. So as a fish farmer, you will know exactly how it impacts your site. As long as we have information and something to check against, it will work. So meaning this will scale to the other compliance verticals as well. This is a compliance by design product. We are not providing yet another system to input data. This system seamlessly integrates with production systems in use. How it differs is that we validate every single data point. In October, we will have a demo ready covering functionality in the bracket C, the action list, and overview. So meaning you will have complete, full overview of all compliance tasks and their deadline relevant for your sites. This autumn, you can be in compliance with ease. If you wish to do so, you can share compliance data or status directly to the relevant stakeholders with ease as well. This spring, together with GIFAS and Ellingsen Seafood, we demonstrated the feasibility of the core functionality and value. We demonstrated it's possible to go from spot checking every 5 years to 100% coverage on a weekly basis. We demonstrated that a typical production manager will save 20 hours a week doing manual compliance job. Huge efficiency gain, but the real benefit, it's the increased control and also the peace of mind it brings. Now, farmers can start to plan ahead instead of extinguishing fires all the time. You don't need to operate in the unknown anymore. Let us be the trustworthy feedback loop you need. With this tool, we can also shift the compliance narrative from being a reactive burden to becoming a strategic advantage.
Yes, so to sum up, we think AI will be a key enabler in the transformation from a manual to a continuous and automated compliance process. However, to use AI in a compliance process, you need to have trust in the system. You need to be able to trust that the data is what have the right quality and is what they are supposed to be. You need to be able to trust the algorithms. You need to be able to trust that the model is actually representing your asset or your process. And you need to be able to trust that no one is going in, tackling with your data. You need to have cyber security in this. And to oversee this, we still need a domain people. You still need someone to oversee the whole thing. But as someone from Lere told her, I think this will do two things. It will free up a lot of time at the same time as you will collect data that can be used to improve the processes even further. So analytics and the process improvement, I think, is the great benefit of this, in addition to all the work you save on the compliance process and the ease of mind, as you say.
I believe, and I also mentioned by a few others today, that we need to collaborate together. And I believe the best solutions comes when we collaborate together. So if you share our vision of continuous automated compliance, please scan this QR code and contact me directly. I would love to innovate together with you. Thank you for your attention.